Over the course of the last decade, we the nerds have taken over pop culture. From superheroes to Star Trek, this is our time. This is Nerdy Pop.
Are we on?
Welcome to Nerdy Pop. My name is Matt Barnes, and with me, as always, being our first time together, is my co-host and the creator of some of the greatest comic superheroes of all time, including Cable and Domino and X-Force and, of course, Youngblood and the king of the box office this year, Deadpool. This is Rob Liefeld.
Hey, Matt, we did it, buddy. This is awesome.
We're here. This is awesome.
This is great. Thanks for putting this together, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, no problem, man. This is great. So, it kind of makes sense why I would be here, because this is an awesome opportunity. But you're Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
And I'm some guy.
Comic book lover, pop culture lover.
And
same as you.
Yeah.
We met through our mutual love of Star Trek.
Yes.
And saw the first two Star Trek, the JJs, together and bonded for life over it. Yeah. And don't even start with me on that second JJ movie. I liked it. So we can argue about that some other time. But we just, and when you bond with someone over Star Trek, you just get it. You just get it. You can go through life.
Once you have that, nothing gets in the way.
That's the basis.
Star Trek is a strong, firm foundation for a relationship.
And we got another one coming up this year.
Yeah.
So another opportunity.
Yep.
And I think we're going to talk about that later, right?
Yeah.
We live in a world of pop culture with comics, with movies, with TV. When I was a kid, it was $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman. And no was as good as it got, kids. And now you got, Star Wars and Deadpool and all these crazy, stuff on TV, The Flash. And so it's literally, we will never, ever want to talk about stuff week in and week out. There's so much.
Yeah. There's such an abundance and sort of that those things that we got made fun of for loving for so long are now suddenly cool, and they're everywhere, and everyone's talking about it.
That's right.
And so why not?
I tell my kids I used to hide my comics in my books, in my book bag at school, because I didn't want anybody to know that I read comics because it was cool. And, high school's hard enough, and you go, I'm going to keep this particular hobby a secret. And everyone went to high school with me would say, what do you mean it was a secret? We always saw you reading them. So, I'm out of luck. But, the funny thing about where we're at with just to get on the subject of superheroes and comics, and I mean, already, what is it? This year we've had Deadpool, Batman vs. Superman, X-Men Apocalypse.
Yep.
Is there one I missed?
Civil War.
Civil War, the biggie. When I'm going to tell you, 10 years ago, about 12 years ago, I was on the lot of Paramount Studios, and they were looking to do one of my comic books. And I had a book called Youngblood, which was a bestseller, big book, launched Image Comics. We had sold literally millions and millions and millions of copies. And it got the attention of some executives at Paramount Studio. They called us up. I went with my agent and manager. They wanted to make a deal. They said, we don't do superhero comic book movies. So this is a big deal. So I was really excited. Well, in the deal-making process, it stopped. I got a call. President of Paramount calls me up, wants to meet with me. I think, this is great news. So Orange County, drive up 90 minutes to LA, sit, in the big guy's office, and he gets out graphs and charts and tells me that the superhero movie is over. And this is like 2004. And he said, look, we've had 2 X-Men, we've had a Spider-Man, they're making Fantastic Four, and they're making Spider-Man 2. And we have researched, and we believe this is a bell curve. And that this is going, and he drew a bell curve for me. And I'm like, really? And I tell you, Matt, I just remember just chuckling. I wasn't let down. I just was like, you're so wrong. Did I mention that he used to be the head of the studio? And because it's like, hey, buddy, we're not going back. Like, okay, there are people who are flaming on now, and Wolverine has claws that come out, and they lift things with their head and throw buildings at each other. We're not going back to Bruce Willis and a bunch of terrorists in a building. Like that's not how it's going to happen. My kids want people to flame on and turn into rocks. And so I remember sitting there going, wow, you're not. Like, I know that you're wrong, but you're going to have to see for yourself. Yeah. So here we are in this world that, I'm sure Marvel just laughs at like that guy. I won't say his name, Go back, research when the guy who was president, but famous Hollywood family, I might add.
We won't say it, but you can find it online
famous
readily.
Hollywood family. But, and I sit there and see what the world has become. And is there a comic book superhero show on every night of the week now?
Yeah, always.
I mean, CW is the superhero station. I'm gonna have to start watching this stuff. That's what kind of bums me out. Oh crap! I need to watch Flash to talk about Flash.
Right.
Or that's your job. You'll do that.
I can talk about Flash. I love Flash.
There you go.
But, yeah.
Everyone loves Flash.
It's great.
Everyone loves it.
It's great. But we'll be, and that's the whole thing. We'll be here every week talking about comic books and movies and all of that, and the opportunity to bring all that together. I do have sort of one other goal for this show that's kind of a long-term thing maybe, but I haven't shared this with you. But ever since we chose the name for the show, Nerdy Pop, there's a song been going through my head, and you may be able to guess what that is. So my long-term goal really is to get big enough that we could get Justin Timberlake to come here, and we could record him singing, Nerdy Pop, and get that on. I don't know.
I love it. That's a goal.
That's
a goal. That's a goal to have.
Hashtag goals.
And if not, Justin knockoff, I'm going to lower that goal right now. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be great.
So Justin, if you're watching, and we have no reason to believe that you are, but if you're watching,
I love it.
We'll make a space.
We're
going
to
need
a song. We're going to need a song.
It'll be great. So we're going to get started, and today we're going to be talking about kind of a summer preview of movies, comic books, and Comic-Con's coming up.
Absolutely,
and
right around the corner.
We want to kind of just look ahead and see what's coming out. So what, in the movie world, we'll start with, what are you excited about this summer?
I've already seen X-Men Apocalypse, which I enjoyed a great deal, and then I took my kids, and I say kids, they're teenagers, and I always want to see what they are into, and they totally dug it. We haven't had as many opportunities to get to movies lately, but the great thing is this weekend the doors kick down, and we go on a roll of Finding Dory and Independence Day and Ghostbusters. And I'm thrilled. I'm excited for all of them. I actually think Finding Dory is going to be the biggest movie of the summer, outgrows Civil War. I just think that's my gut. Finding Dory is huge family film. I mean, I just know that everybody across the board in my family wants to see it. I mean, it's Pixar, it's Disney, and that first movie was so fantastic. And so I mean that's kind of easy. And Disney is literally just printing money.
And it's it's a rare one to me too, because it's there's so much time between them, but I don't think they haven't lost any momentum.
Is it 10 years? I think it's like a 10. No, it's more than that.
I think it's more.
Yeah, it's like 13 years. But I think I definitely think that will kick off, like I said, this run that then the week after that you get to Independence Day. Now, so were you like 4 when Independence Day came out?
No. I was a senior
in my 20s.
in high school when Independence Day came out.
Almost 4. Okay, no, I'm telling you. We went to see that, and I was so blown away. I remember we actually, because the Image Comics thing was happening, and I was going to like a premiere every other night because I loved it. I'm like, you mean I get to see the movie free and early? And I'll drive up to LA for that. And people who know me, I hate driving to LA. I hate it. But I'd be there, and after Independence Day, a guy named Kevin Messick, who's now a producer, who I've gone on to produce some cool movies, he was in the bathroom with me afterwards. I'll say that we were washing our hands. And he's like, hey, Liefeld, what'd you think of that movie? I go, I love it. What'd you think? He goes, you want to know what I loved? I loved that we didn't know anything about the aliens. They just wanted to kill us. They just wanted to eradicate us. I loved it. And I'm like, yeah. And to this day, Matt, did we learn the name of those aliens?
No.
They're just the aliens.
They had no motive, they just were going and destroying things.
And nothing we could throw at them worked. And I love that it's actually 20 years later. And I've told my kids, because we're going to watch ID4 before we go see the sequel. The cast looks great. I think the Hemsworth brothers are still in a running of who's the actual successful Hemsworth brother. And I'm thinking Junior is making a run because the Huntsman and some of the other stuff. I'm sorry, Chris, but you'll always have Thor. Thor is there for you. But he's like, but I've still got the Avengers. But the younger brother, and then I mean you got most of the other cast is returning, right? And I think it was just last week. I am a big monster guy, and if you show me a monster, I'm giving you my money. And now, doesn't it look like there's a giant alien stomping? So I'm like, okay, we have kaiju. Check that box. Okay, so we have aliens we don't know, but they want to hurt us again. And I love when they go, they're not screaming.
Yeah.
they're applauding
Yeah.
or they're
celebrating
cheering.
or something
I'm
like
like,
that, yeah.
bring it on!
So good.
So I just think that people like last year with Jurassic World,
Yeah.
which I think was probably the same time frame around
Yeah,
July
right around
4th.
time.
People want to go and see. I mean, America's a weird place right now. Oh my gosh, America's a weird place. I think we're heading towards the purge, honestly. Like, I'm like,
Which they've got a movie coming out too.
No, they do. But I'm like, we are headed towards a time where they literally be like, this is really the one day of year you get to kill everybody. Because I'm like, we're going to be imitating life here any minute. I honestly think that. But before we get to that drop off, which is probably another 10 years, everybody's going to go see Independence Day
too. Yeah,
on July 4th,
Yeah.
and have that stretch. And then I know that Ghostbusters is this controversial
Yeah.
movie, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I want to fight all the people who are crapping on it, but I don't have the time in the day. What do you think? So what's your deal? What do you think about Ghostbusters?
When you're saying that, when you sense the controversy, what's the controversy? What are they upset
people,
about?
They're upset that it's with girls. This is the best I can ascertain. That they go, it's not the original cast.
Right.
Which here's the deal. I was at a convention in Toronto in March, and I bumped into Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
He actually came to my table.
That's
I
awesome.
was totally thrilled. Immediately came to my wife, take pictures. And he told me, he says, Rob, it's a great movie. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Ernie, I'm so happy for you. This is going to put the spotlight back on you.
Yeah.
And kids, my family will watch Ghostbusters. Dude, did not manipulate once. My daughter, Sunday, sees the commercial, looks over on the couch and says, Dad, can we watch the original Ghostbusters? I said, done. In the drawer.
That's right.
We're watching it next week. So, I mean, it's Ernie Hudson, they're all going to get a bigger spotlight. But there's just this, it's kind of the negativity of the internet now.
Yeah.
We all have thought bubbles. Twitter is your thoughts in a bubble. And we hit send. And then everyone's arguing, no, my thought. I can't take it. Just how about we enjoy nice things? And Bridesmaids is funny. And Spy is funny. And what's that movie that she did with Sandra Bullock?
The Heat?
The Heat is funny. Paul Feig, I hope I'm saying your name right, and it makes funny movies.
Yeah.
He's a talented comedic director. They clearly spent a lot of money on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I, as a consumer, can tell when you spend a lot of money. And I go, I want to see that expensive movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people want to go drive expensive cars. I want to go see that expensive movie.
Yeah.
And with that great cast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, aren't you looking forward to it?
I am. I was skeptical, not because of the girl thing. That never threw me off. I think two things played into it for me. One was I loved the first one so much.
Yes.
I saw that in the theater when I was 6, which I think
That makes sense. I
Who
was
takes a
16.
6-year-old to that? But anyway,
Okay.
I went and saw that in the theaters when I was, and then even the second one, I was young enough that I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. I watch it now and I see a lot of whatever, but I still enjoy that. So for years, hearing like the cast is going to get back together, they're going to do a third one with that cast. I was very excited about that. When that didn't happen, and then they announced it was this, I was like, wait, what?
Sure.
So I think there was
Okay.
that part. But it's never been about the girls thing. I think that first trailer to me was a huge the new trailer has gotten me excited about it.
Okay.
So where now I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how I feel about the look of the ghosts and some of the special effects. They seem a little like bright and happy, cheery kind of. But I'm excited to see it now because and especially this week, all of the original cast that are still with us have been like voicing their support. Bill Murray said he loved it, which I mean to get Bill Murray to comment
and he's
on
a grumpy guy. He's not. You
right,
can't buy him off.
Right. So I mean I am excited to see it. I think to me it's not about the girl thing, but I couldn't get into any conversations about it because everything became about that every time I tried to bring it up.
No, okay, now I understand better. I get it. So you really wanted that original cast.
I was very excited.
And trust me, I
want to see Peter Venkman again.
I was 16 years old. I went with Donna Hambright. Donna Hambright, if you're out there, we had a date. We went and saw that in the Puente Hills Mall because you lived in like La Habra or Whittier. And I remember going, this movie at that time was the funniest movie I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray, I mean, the jokes, the special effects, it was just, they didn't clearly back in 1984, whatever. They didn't give as much away.
Yeah.
So you really kind of went into a lot of the stuff blind. And Ghostbusters just blew me away. But again, I just go that cast and Melissa McCarthy and Paul Feig. to me, everything they do is very funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. I think Melissa McCarthy, some of her like not good movies, like the other day on cable, Tammy came on, and I'm like, I didn't pay to see this in the theater. I will watch Tammy right now. Tammy is not a good movie, but it's got funny parts. Like you go, and I know that's not Paul Feig, but Melissa McCarthy shows up and she's funny. She is a comedic genius. But again, the Proton Packs, the Ghostbusters, and I think Chris Helmsworth. Chris, we're back to you. You're going to steal this movie. I believe this. I'm rooting for you, man. I want you to succeed outside of Thor, and this is going to be it for you. And so look, it's not like he can star in any of my superhero movies anyway. If I ever get the offer,
right.
He's taken. So Chris, we'll just agree that I'm going to root for you. But so what else? What else behind? Like I really believe that 3 weeks at the box office is the summer. Like that's the cream of the cream of like what's coming. Now Star Trek.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a movie that I am skeptical of? I'm like, is this movie going to do it for me? Because I love Star Trek and I love this cast.
Yeah, and I'm very conflicted on it. I think it's the first trailer was weird, and then and even Simon Pegg then came out immediately and was like, that is not representative of our movie, which was an odd thing to happen. And then they were radio silent for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden, so the new trailer looks good. I mean, I love Star Trek, so I'm going to go see it, and I'm going to be excited about it, and I hope it's great. But to me, that and, Jason Bourne looks interesting, potentially.
Yes, yes, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we love Matt Damon as Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I can already hear people when they're screaming at us because I tell you, and this kind of dovetails into what we're going to talk about with Comic-Con, because Comic-Con is coming up and is Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Because Comic-Con is going to be papered wall to wall with Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn and Deadshot and all these characters. Yeah. I guarantee you, with the misfire of Batman versus Superman, and if it wasn't a misfire, why did they rejigger the whole? Right. Come on, people! I wanted to love that movie. Right. I wanted to desperately love it. It was the kindest way I can put it is it was slightly off.
Yeah.
It was not a bullseye, and they are going to show up with Suicide Squad, which seems to have the buzz.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I think you're going to throw a rock in any direction at Comic-Con, and it's going to be Suicide Squad, and they're going to paper the town. And, last year, I got to be honest, it was really cool. Every year we go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You get off at the certain exit. I'll remember it when I'm there this year. But it takes you down into the street. And you're like, I'm here. And it's 5 minutes till you get to the Strip. And you turn, you go to your hotel, and you pass the center. And the minute you got off the freeway last year, Deadpool. And I'm like, wow, Fox showed up with Deadpool. Warner Brothers is showing up with Suicide Squad in a huge way. I mean, I think they'll give you a glimpse of Wonder Woman because they have that in the can. But and then the counter to that, which we were talking earlier,
right?
And you told me you didn't know anything about Doctor Strange,
right?
But I think they're going to have Guardians of the Galaxy, and that cast will probably be there. This is speculation, But Doctor Strange is not speculation. They've hung banners. If they're hanging banners, you can kind of set your watch too. Hung a banner. When's Cumberbatch coming out? But I really believe, and I'm telling you, like Doctor Strange. It's funny. My wife, she'll see the trailers and she'll go, "Honey, who created Doctor Strange?" I said, "Still Stan Lee, honey. We're still in the Stan Lee world. We haven't left Stan." Stan even jumped into Deadpool somehow. But we can't leave Stan. Doctor Strange, I'm telling you, that is the movie. If there's a movie, you said, Rob, you can only see one more movie this year. I'm like, I'm sorry, Rogue One, I love you, but Doctor Strange.
All right, so the last thing we want to get to for summer things is with the DC Rebirth thing.
Yes.
And I have many questions because I'm not as up to date on what's going on in the comic books as I probably should be. But didn't we just do New 52 like 2 years ago?
It seems like that. Yeah, it was actually 5 years ago, 2011.
No, really?
2011 is when the New 52 launched.
But how often do we need to reboot an entire
DC
universe?
actually really needed to reboot. And here's the deal. I grew up with DC Comics. I loved DC Comics. Right here, Aquaman. I'm going to tell you, while I was disenchanted with DC Comics, I would go and spend tons of money on DC Comics every week, just not the current stuff.
Yeah.
Because they would still issue stuff like this. Now, and Aquaman, as you know, is going to be a movie by James Wan, who did The Conjurings. He is going to do an amazing job with this. I know that early on with Entourage, that was the whole make fun of Aquaman.
Oh, right.
And I'm going to tell you, You will never do better than reading the most emotional issue of Aquaman. There's this issue of Aquaman. Here it is right here. When I was a kid, this is Adventure Comics 452. I mean, look at that. Aqualad has got the trident on Aquaman, and Black Manta's like giving him the thumbs down. Matt, this is an emotional issue. I will not spoil this for you. Stuff happens in this issue that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm reading this. This stuff is fantastic. And just a little shout out. Again, these are great. Rob recommends, Rob Comic Corners. Buy these Doctor Strange collections. Buy this Aquaman collection. This is actually, in my opinion, and I've read all the Aquamans, this is the best representation of him. He was a totally serious, kick-ass character.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, maybe it is Entourage, made him a joke.
Yeah.
So they announced, we're doing Rebirth. And I got to tell you, Matt, it couldn't have come at the right time. I mean, at a better time for them.
Yeah.
They needed a facelift. And if you go to comic stores, this thing is clicking. They started off with these books right here, Rebirth. We've got Wonder Woman Rebirth. We have the Flash Rebirth. I have them all. I just figured, we got to get through this, and I can't give you every comic. But Aquaman, and I'll get to this later. This is an Image comic named Island. But these Rebirth books launched out of a giant one-shot they did by Jeff Johns, who's now gone off to do the movie division and to make sure that the movies are better. And I talked to Jeff, and he was like, Rob, believe me, this is going to work. I can't write comics anymore because I'm focusing completely on the movies and making sure these are the best movies possible. And that's in the best interest of everybody who loved the DC movies. But he wrote Rebirth, which was an 80-page it was a mission statement.
Yeah.
It was like, it's a great comic. And at the end, you remember that things don't have to be grim and gritty and everyone doesn't have to be sorrowful. And Rebirth is selling out. The store owners that have been telling me, these one-shots, which are paving the way for the eventual, and it's great way to get 2 bites at one apple.
Yeah.
You get an Aquaman Rebirth #1, and then next month, you're getting Aquaman #1. What? How did I get 2 #1s in 60 days or 30 days? It's because this is a Rebirth, and they're going to do Aquaman. But I'm going to tell you, you should pick up a couple of these. Wonder Woman is the standout. I think Wonder Woman is poised to be DC's breakout character for the next several years. You could tell people loved her in Batman, Spider-Man would do really well.
Yeah, that would be an interesting movie, right?
Superman. People loved her in Batman, Superman. She was seen as along with Ben Affleck, like the bright spot. And this new book actually deals with her, acknowledging that maybe some of her memories, maybe some of her memories aren't real, and that things are out of order, and that she's going to find the truth, because the magic lasso has now become like this truth. It's not just doesn't make you tell the truth; it reveals your reality. And look, everyone I've tried out is very intriguing, and so for comic book fans, trust me, I could tell going to these comic book stores. Last year I did 19 appearances, all across the country. People want to love DC Comics.
Yeah.
And DC Comics has done this initiative. It's working. They're selling out. You got to get to your comic store early because the comic stores are having to catch up with their orders because it's that classic supply and demand.
Sure.
And right now the demand is increasing the supply. My last thing is because Image Comics, I started this company with my brethren 24 years ago, and anthologies are tough. But if you like science fiction, this one's called Island, and it is headed by a guy named Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
And he and his fabulous friends, if you liked heavy metal as a kid, if you like great sci-fi stories, pick up Island. Sorry, trust me, people are like, what did he just say? But go back, watch it again. It's clear. DC needed to hit the restart button.
Yeah.
And the great news is it's working.
Yeah.
But just like anything, check back in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the great thing about comics and the god of comics, Jack Kirby, once said it, we don't need $100 million budgets.
Right.
We have a pencil and a piece of paper, and we can fill up our ideas, and that's how these things are created. So even when a comic does poorly, it's not like the sky's falling in Hollywood, $120 million bomb.
Yeah.
It's a couple $1,000 bomb, and they get to reset.
Yeah.
But these are good. I highly recommend them, and go back and buy the old Aquaman stuff because it's great. It's great. And buy Doctor Strange.
Awesome.
And Matt, those are my recommends to you.
Cool. Well, we are ready to kind of wrap things up for today. If you want to see Rob, you got some upcoming appearances?
I am going to be at Comic-Con. I won't be in Hall H, but I will be all over the floor. I have a couple of fun signings. On social media, I am on Twitter at Robert Liefeld, because at Rob Liefeld is a fun parody account that I don't associate with, but it's a goofy account. You should check it out. But then come back to me. On Instagram, I'm at Rob Liefeld, and yeah, how about you?
Yeah,
What do you got going?
at Matthew Barnes on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can follow the show and give us your suggestions, your feedback on things. We may listen to them. We may not. I don't know. At Nerdy Pop Show, both on Instagram and Twitter. Nerdy Pop Show on Facebook, and www.nerdypopshow.com is our website. So come check that out. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about X-Men Apocalypse and the future of the X-Men cinematic universe.
I might know a thing or two about that.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love it.
Inside secrets. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you guys next week.